My name is Maria Koinova. I'm a reader in International Relations at Warwick University Politics and International Studies Department. I'm here to speak with you about a special issue which was recently published with the Journal of Ethnic and Migration Studies. The special issue is titled Diaspora Mobilizations for Conflict and Post-Conflict Reconstruction, Comparative and Contextual Dimensions. This special issue is a result of collaborative effort that has been conducted under the auspices of the European Research Council Starting Grad project, Diasporas and Contested Sovereignty. This special issue takes the scholarly conversation further by considering that diasporas are not simply agents of peace or agents of conflicts, but that we need to consider the context in which they are embedded. In that sense, it is ripe the time to think about contexts and what they mean for diaspora mobilizations and how they shape them and are shaped by them. In that sense, we need to move further from consideration of diasporas specifically embedded in hostlands or in homelands, but to factor in the larger dimensions in which diasporas participate in global politics. They may be connected to home states, but also states to which they have transited or where they have families, kin, and other brethren to which they are durably connected. And in that sense, linkages to diasporas from different places and to different locations are at the core of this special issue, and this is part of its novelty as well. To take further the scholarly conversation in theoretical terms, authors in this special issue are speaking about specialities and temporalities of diaspora mobilization. Specialities are considered multi-sided embeddedness, positionality, and translocality, through which diasporas participate in global politics beyond the state. Temporalities that consider diaspora mobilizations in novel ways are a crisis, durability of conflicts, transformative events, and critical junctures. Beyond the temporal and spatial aspects of diaspora mobilization, which are pushing the field in a novel way, this collection is bringing also novel discussions of issues that have not been considered that much in diaspora politics so far. One of the strands is about diasporas in transitional justice, a scholarly conversation that has been started and is much developed in this special issue. Another conversation is about fragile and weak states, which is very incipient. And the third conversation is about ethnic and civic ways of diaspora mobilization in different global locations. Now let me tell you about the specific contributions of different authors. The first contribution is by David Carment and Rachel Kalea, and it is called Diasporas and Fragile States Beyond Remittances. The two authors are problematizing the ways in which we think about diasporas specifically as actors of financial aid to their countries of origin, and instead are looking into the capacity, authority, and legitimacy that are important aspects of weak and strong statehood that needs to be factored into the conversation of diaspora mobilizations. In that sense, they take comparisons from 6 cases which are important to show how diasporas are mobilizing vis-a-vis different varieties of weak statehood. The 6 cases that Carment and Kalea discussed are Afghanistan, Somalia, Ghana, India, Haiti, and Ukraine. My own article, Critical Junctures and Transformative Events in Diaspora Mobilization for Kosovo and Palestinian Statehood, is problematizing the non-sophisticated ways in which scholarship so far treats critical events that affect diaspora mobilizations from one part of the globe into another. I show that critical junctures are those that change structures and institutions in international affairs and thereby help diaspora strategic centers move inside and outside of the state, while transformative events are simply changing diaspora mobilization trajectories. Using the cases of the Palestinian and Kosovo mobilizations, I'm showing that, for example, on the Oslo Accords of 1993 in the Palestinian case and 1999 intervention of NATO in Kosovo are changing fundamentally the way statehood is defined, and thereby allowing diasporas to move inside or outside of the state as major actors. While events like the massacre of a big family of a Kosovo Liberation Army leader in 1998, as well as the Gaza warfare in 2014, are transformative events that change the mobilization trajectories of diasporas abroad, but are not changing where the strategic center is located. My own article also brings the aspects of positionality in global affairs and where diasporas are located and how they are linked to different contexts, that it really matters on how they will react to critical events, be they critical junctures or transformative events that change their trajectories. The second article that has an exclusive focus on timing is Elizabeth Mavrudi's article, Deconstructing Diaspora Mobilization at the Times of Crisis, where she looks into crisis events that happen in the mobilization of the Greek and the Palestinian diasporas. Contrary to a lot of expectations that these diasporas will be very mobilized at times of crisis, Mavrudi argues that when such crises occur in conflicts that are durable or in durably problematic situations, that diasporas become jaded, emotionally detached, and have little to contribute to the countries of origin. In her article, Mobilizing Diasporas for Justice, Camila Urjuela is bringing a novel discussion about thinking about transitional justice not simply in terms of court processes, memorialization, and others. She uses evidence from the Rwandan and Tamil diaspora and her multi-sided work in order to demonstrate how transitional justice claims are made globally, and also about how violent past is being present, so she is using that term as well. Matthew Godwin's article, Winning Westminster Style, is developing further the discussion about foreign policy lobbying of different diasporas with slants towards considering aspects of transitional justice and conflict processes. He is comparing the mobilization of the Tamil diaspora in Canada and in the UK, and is showing through foreign policy analysis and role theory how different connectivities of the diaspora mobilizers to the specific context are affecting the outcomes of their mobilization efforts. In her article, Diasporas and Transitional Justice, Janeta Karabegovic is bringing aspects of translocality and shows how diasporas could mobilize from one part of the globe to another by way of specific connectivities to places. What she problematizes is that there is very little understanding in international politics about these linkages, and as well, when she looks into specifically of youth politics in Bosnia-Herzegovina, that neither domestic nor international actors have been interested in using any of these opportunities to create change domestically in terms of peaceful conflict resolution. She uses evidence from her research in Bosnia, Sweden, France, and Germany in order to substantiate her claims. Cindy Hoare's article, Making a Difference in Mogadishu, is developing the concept of multi-sided embeddedness and shows how people who have lived in different contexts in Somalia, in Norway, and in the States have used their knowledge acquired in this context to launch a global civic activism. And for her, civic initiatives are not to be looked at specifically in one context, but to be considered how they are enacted globally and how they are connected to different contexts. In her article, Breaking the Silences, Breaking the Frames, Marie Godin is bringing the discussion about rape and gender in post-conflict dynamics and looking specifically into diaspora mobilizations in the UK and Belgium with regard to rape that has taken place in the Democratic Republic of Congo. She takes very much the discussion of social movements seriously with regard to deepening the ideas about framing, and shows how in these different contexts frames are developed in a different way, and nevertheless they are aiming at the same ultimate goal to bring transitional justice for war victims. To sum up, this special issue is bringing novel perspectives, both theoretically in terms of spatialities and temporalities of diaspora mobilization, but also discussions about weak statehood, transitional justice, and ethnic and civic activism. It is important to think who are the audiences that will benefit from these special issues. The first one is definitely the audience of Journal of Ethnic and Migration Studies as one of the flagship journals in the field, where discussion about conflict-generated diasporas has existed, and yet this is the first place which systematically develops first the notion of it and further develops the ideas about diasporas not simply as agents of conflict and peace. And since conflict and peace are very much at the core of international relations as a discipline, this special issue could speak also to audiences of the international relations realm, specifically thinking about how to unpack states, how to criticize traditional notions of statehood, and looking into the different connectivities, networks, and processes that take place globally, rather than into host states, home states, and the diasporas as agents of them. This special issue would be of interest also to policymakers who could see in these articles a lot of specific evidence about comparative cases which have been done in a very rigorous way analytically, but also to think about how to readjust policies that simply could not be confined to states, even if states and state agencies together with multilateral international organizations are defining them. Shifting the way of formulating policies from a very statist way to a way in which linkages in global politics matter would bring more opportunities to open up the box of the state and box of policies that at this stage are formulated in non-discriminate ways. In that sense, this special issue could bring novelty both to scholarship and to the policy world.